What is up, you spooky bitches? We're back and we have another episode of the Hello Sidney podcast here, a podcast for horror lovers where we discuss any and all things horror. And it's me, your girl, Sidney. We are here with a bonus episode today because I am here to talk about my top favorite horror movie moments of all time. And shout out to Sam and everybody that has jumped on that bandwagon for giving me this idea, because this is genuinely something that I have had so much fun with. And to preface this whole thing with kind of how I came up with these moments, it's not the scariest moments. It's not like the most dramatic moments. The ones that I picked are the ones that personally have made me feel something. Like either they have filled me with an extreme sense of dread or fear. Some of them are, I think, scariest movie moments. Some of them have filled me with sadness, with awe. Like I have like a personal connection to every one of these moments that I chose. And I know for a fact when I'm done with this and like say in a week's time or whatever, I'm going to think of a moment and be like, fuck, I should have included that in my top horror movie moments of all time. But these are the ones that I came up with off the top of my head. These are the ones that, again, like they just really mean a lot to me. And I either had some sort of experience that kind of made these better for me, or I have like a nostalgic connection to them, or again, they just made me feel something on a deep level. So we're going to get into it and I'm going to explain that for everyone. And you guys asked for 10, but you know I can never shut the fuck up. And I couldn't come up with just 10 because as I came up with 10, I then was like, okay, well now I have more. So it's more so like 15 with a couple of honorable mentions. And honestly, like the order of these from 15 to about 4 aren't necessarily in any specific order, but like my top 3 are my top 3 for sure, I would say. So we're going to get right into the couple that I have honorable mentions for. The first one being Halloween 2018. And it's not necessarily a specific moment, but multiple moments that culminate in the reversal of Michael and Laurie's role. So if you remember my Halloween episodes, or if you've seen the movie and you're familiar with it, the original Halloween, like Michael Myers falls off the balcony and then all of a sudden Laurie looks and he's gone. And then in the original, like Michael's hiding in the closet and comes out behind her. And then we see this role reversal of that in the 2018 version. And it's just so fucking poetic. And it makes Laurie such a badass. Like it's the moment where he throws her over the balcony. He looks down, she's gone. Now she's become him. And then he's looking for her and all of a sudden she comes out of the dark fucking shadows behind him and stabs him. Like suddenly she's him. Like she's taken his power from him. And I think that is just such a powerful and beautiful thing. And when I saw this, I had such high hopes for that trilogy because I was like, wow, whoever made this clearly has such a respect and a love for this franchise. And this is going to be great. And then the rest is history. You guys know how I feel about that again if you heard my Halloween episodes. So honorable mention to that. Another honorable mention to one of the moments that scared me the most in my life. This might not even be an honorable mention, guys. Like this is in my fucking top because this moment, I've been very scared at a lot of different horror movies in my life and specific moments, but never really have I ever had one genuinely give me a nightmare. And this one gave me a nightmare so bad that I still remember it. And it was still like the scariest nightmare I've ever had in my fucking life because it was so real. And I'm talking about the scene from Evil Dead 1981, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. And I can't remember the names off the top of my head right now and I don't even want to look it up because I don't want to see it. I like don't want to see it. But it's the scene where there's the two girls and they're doing that card game back and forth. So like one's pulling a card and the other one's trying to guess it. And she's kind of bullshitting her like, oh my God, you're getting them right. Like gassing her up even though she's totally wrong. And then all of a sudden from a distance, you hear this like deep guttural voice saying like 5 of hearts, ace of spades, and she's kind of talking like that, and it's like it immediately sends a chill down your fucking spine. And then all of a sudden they turn, like she's getting every card right, which on its own is so fucking freaky. Like that is just, I think that's such a brilliant moment because immediately red flag, you're like, something is up here. Like how does she know this? Something is wrong. And then the girls turn and the woman that's sitting at the window reciting all these cards turns and her face is just completely demonic, like white eyes, scratches on her face like Reagan style, and suddenly she starts levitating in front of that fucking window. And it's that moment right there that traumatized me for my whole fucking life. She's levitating in front of the window and then she comes down and she stabs the girl in the Achilles heel. And when I first watched this movie, I was probably like 14, around there. I was like an early teenager. I was young. Definitely at that point in my life had been like a more seasoned horror lover, because again, this has been my whole life. And I watched that movie for the first time. Again, I watch horror movies all the time, so that was nothing new. I had to make my mom come sleep with me. I literally woke my mom up in the middle of the night and was like, can you come sleep in my bed with me? Because I'm fucking scared. Like, I'm having a really tough time sleeping. So my mom comes and sleeps with me. And I specifically remember at this point in my life, this bedroom I had, if I slept on my right side, there was this big window right in front, and I had these curtains up. And I remember waking up and I see somebody sitting on this little couch that I had near my window, and this person starts fucking levitating. And it was so real, because it's one of those dreams that really trips you out, because you wake up and everything's the same. Because, you know, in dream world, like, everything's different. It's like, oh, I know this is my house, but it doesn't look like my house. Everything was exactly the fucking same as it was in my bedroom. So it was genuinely like it felt like I was waking up. Like, I was genuinely waking up in my bedroom. And I see this woman sitting from the back, and she starts fucking levitating. So of course it's the woman from the movie. She starts levitating, and I panic. It's not over, because I panic and I go to turn, because I know my mom is in bed next to me, and I go to turn, and instead of it being my mother, there's like this demonic creature next to me that gets on top of me and starts fucking strangling me. And then I wake up. I shit you not, I did not make that up. I could not possibly make that up, because my brain could not come up with something that fucking terrifying. I'm not that creative. Like, that was genuinely the scariest moment of my fucking life. I woke up like gasping for air. My mom didn't even fucking flinch. Like, my mom takes like trazodone to go to sleep, so she's fucking like unconscious, so she's no help. But I woke up literally like gasping for fucking air, and I'm like, I think I just fucking traumatized myself with that movie. So that scene is very special to me for that reason, because it's the only movie scene that has made me have a genuine like nightmare, night terror like that. It was absolutely fucking traumatizing. And the next moment I have, which this is technically number 15, the next moment I have is another one that kind of evoked like the same fear in me, like the same fear response. This is another scene. It's one of the ones that scared me the most. I think the Evil Dead scene scared me more, though. So I think that really belongs in the 15th spot. But this one is from The Conjuring. And you guys have heard me talk about The Conjuring and my experience with it. It was like my best theater going experience, but also like the scariest. And it fucked me up. Like, The Conjuring fucked me up. And the two scenes that I think were the scariest was, one, the clap. And I think the clap would have affected me a lot more if they didn't show it in the trailer, because I specifically remember them showing the hands coming out from behind the main woman, Carolyn, and clapping in her ear. I specifically remember the trailer showing that, so it wasn't too much of a shock when that happened. But the one that was a shock to the system that made me like jump and like literally like cower in fear, physically cower in fear, was the scene where Bathsheba, the witch, is on top of the dresser. And it's that night where like the chaos completely erupts, the chaos ensues. And I forget which daughter it is, but it's the older one, Andrea, I think. And she goes to like get her little sister from the dresser, and she sends her back to bed, and the sister sits up in bed and looks and is like, and Andrea looks up, and the fucking witch is up there just on top of her dresser and jumps down on top of her. Like, that feeling is one that is truly unmatched. Like, the sinking feeling that I got in my stomach, and just the pure fear response. And like, again, like, I literally was physically like cowering in fear. And that doesn't happen to me a whole lot, especially at the point where I had seen that movie in the theater. I was about 18 when that came out. So again, I've been watching this shit for years. Like, I've been traumatized, I've been scared, and that was a moment like nothing else. So that one, even though it scared the shit out of me, very near and dear to my heart. Next, so I have a few show ones in here. So I know we said horror movie moments, but I'm counting horror shows as well. And this is one that it's actually kind of two moments from this show. These are two moments that, again, made me feel like my heart was going to burst out of my chest because of the anxiety leading up to it. And I'm talking about Stranger Things. And one of my favorite scenes of all time is in Stranger Things, the first season, which is the best season. I mean, actually, I don't even know if I can say that, because I think all the seasons were good. I loved the last season. We've been waiting 17 years for the next season, but I'm sure it will be good also. But the first season, the scene that really fucking gets me is the scene where those bullies are cornering Mike at the cliff, and they're forcing him to jump, and they show the drop, and you see that this is very clearly like a drop that would kill somebody, like especially a child. Like nobody is surviving that, because it's like you hit the water, you're hitting fucking concrete, like you're dying. And they're cornering, and eventually he has no other option, and he literally just jumps, and everybody looks shocked, like Dustin shocked, even the bullies look fucking shocked. And then all of a sudden, like, you see him falling, and you're like, how the fuck is he gonna survive this? Like, I thought Mike was gonna survive the show. Like, I thought he was an important character. And then all of a sudden we pan to him and we see that he's floating. And this is one of those scenes that, like, I'm literally like welling up with tears almost, because I think it's just so intense and so beautiful. And it's one of those scenes that I like cry at every time. And there's a few on here, and I'll mention those. But he's like levitating, and you're like, how the fuck is that happening? And then all of a sudden you go back up and you see 11 coming in, fucking storming in. And this, like, the reason that this is so crazy to me is because Millie Bobby Brown was what, like fucking 11, like probably 11, 12 years old at this time. And I've never seen such like fury and rage in somebody's eyes. And it was just it's so impactful. And the way she shows up, fucking drop of blood coming from her nose with this like anger in her eyes. And she slowly looks at Mike and fucking uses her telekinesis and puts him back, and then looks at the bully, and she just does one of these, like literally just a head turn, and breaks this motherfucker's arm. And then they run away, and Dustin's like, she's our friend and she's crazy. Like, that moment to me is one of the best moments in fucking television history. I know that might be a stretch for some people, but that moment is so fucking powerful to me. It is so incredible. And that's the moment you really realize, like, one, how powerful this girl really is, like how powerful this child is, how powerful this actress is for being able to play a scene like that. And the fact that these kids never have to worry about a fucking thing again in their life with this bitch on their sides. Like this, and that's where their friendship was really solidified. And I love it. And the other scene that I love in Stranger Things was from the last season. And it's like the scene that made Kate Bush running up that hill like spike back up and be in the charts again. And it's the scene where, the fuck is her name? It's the scene where Max is like in that dream state, or in that like trance state where she's in like Vecna's world, and it's like all red around her. And I should have watched this scene again before I started doing this, because I don't remember the exact specifics of it. But like, I remember she sees that portal, like she sees that portal to go back to her own world, and like everybody's over her, like Mike and like the boys, and Lucas specifically, who is her boyfriend, is over her, and they're all like, come back, Max, like come back. They're playing her the song, and there's like this slow motion. She manages to get away from Vecna, and there's this slow motion run, and Kate Bush running up that hill is playing in the background. It's this like intense fucking music, and it, like, your heart is beating out of your fucking chest. And at the last fucking second before Vecna can get her, she makes it out of the portal. And there again, like, the use of music to me is so important. And there's a few scenes in here that are going to be like that, where like the use of music significantly improves the scene. And a score is so important to like a show or a movie for that exact reason, because it can like make a scene so much more intense and make you feel so much more. And that's exactly what the scene did. Like, I think like if it was just music, or if it was any other song, I don't think it would have been as intense. But the fact that it was that song and it was played so perfectly over it, my God, tears brings fucking tears to my eyes, because it's just so beautiful. In number 13, I have one of the moments that I believe to be one of the best plot twists of all time in all of cinema, not even just in horror cinema, but cinema period. And I wish, if there was one movie I could erase my memory of and see again, this one's in the running. It's pretty fucking high up there, because it's the original Saw. And it's that moment where the body that you think has been dead in the center of the room the whole time finally stands up. And you realize that the whole time this has been Jigsaw. And he inserted himself into the fucking game. He's been here. He's been hearing every fucking word. He has seen everything that they've done, and he has orchestrated this whole fucking thing. And it's at that moment where you realize like how powerful and scary this man is for being able to do that, and how much of a fucking insane person he is. And also just like shout out to Lee Wanell, because his character Adam is the one that's left in the bathroom with him. So this is after Dr. Gordon like cut his foot off and went off. And Lee Wanell, just like the fear in his fucking eyes as he watches this man stand up, and like the collective gasps from the audience. I unfortunately don't really remember my first time watching Saw, it came out in 2004. I would have been at least like 9 at that time, 10. I don't think I watched it the year that it came out, but I don't exactly remember the first time I watched it. And I feel like by the time I did watch it, I knew what the plot twist was because people talked about it so often. So I don't necessarily think it like affected me like that, but I just think that is one of the greatest twists of all time. And what a fucking shock. And I would give anything to like be able to see that movie in the theater for the first time in 2004 when it came out with everybody and just hear the collective fucking gasp from the audience when you realize, because I think that is such an intense, perfectly orchestrated moment. Incredible. And again, it just like sets the scene. Obviously at that time, like nobody knew that the Saw franchise was going to get to the point that it did, but it set the scene perfectly for the fact that John Kramer is a fucking mastermind, is an insane mastermind, because who the fuck could possibly do that? It's incredible. That's one of my favorite. I just love that moment. I love it so much. In number 12, I have another scene that I truly believe to be one of the scariest of all time. And this scene, it's not even a scene. It's literally like 3 seconds. And it single-handedly has made me so fucking traumatized of sharks and the ocean and the unknown for the rest of my life. And I cannot stress that enough. Like, I am in no way being dramatic. It fucked me up that bad. And it's a scene from Jaws. And people will talk about like the scenes from Jaws that are the scariest, right? Like the opening, the scene where Quint is slowly falling into the shark's mouth, the scene where the shark like pops up and it's the jump scare as Brody's throwing the fucking chum out. All of them, yeah, I agree. All of them are fucking scary, but none of them even touch this moment. And I'm talking about the scene where they're in the pond and on the main beach, everybody's panicking because they see a shark fin and it ends up being those 2 fucking stupid ass kids, right? So there's chaos on the beach because they see that. And then you see this girl walking, minding her own business, and she sees the actual shark fin. And she starts screaming, the shark, it's in the pond, it's in the pond. And Brody is like, oh, what now? Like thinking it's just another fucking bullshit thing. But then his wife looks at him and says, Michael's in the pond, like Michael being their son. And now we cut to the pond and we see Michael and his friends on like a fucking little canoe or some shit. Something that's not going to protect you from a great white shark that is as vicious as the Jaws shark. And we see this fisherman pull up to them on his little like fucking rowboat. And he's like, hey, you boys okay over there? He's got like such a fucking Massachusetts accent. He's like, you boys okay over there? And they just look at him. And we the audience see in the background the shark fin approaching. And all of a sudden the shark fin gets close enough and the fisherman gets knocked off his boat. The boys get knocked off their little kayak, right? So everybody's now in the water. The fisherman's boat is overturned and we get this overhead shot. I'm like getting chills just thinking about it. It literally fucks me up every time. We get this overhead shot and from like we see the fisherman struggling to get back on his boat because again it's overturned, so he's like trying to get up and he is completely unaware that underneath him the shark is opening his mouth and coming towards him, and then we just see him like the fisherman go underwater. And the reason that this fucked me up so badly is because of the thought that like when you're in the ocean you don't know what's under you. Like he's just trying to get on his boat completely unaware that underneath him, like just below the surface, is this fucking great white shark, and it just like grabs him and we just see him go under. And that scene is so, again, I'm going to use the word powerful a lot here, but it is just so powerful to me because, again, like it invokes so much fear into you, not only of sharks, but of water, of the unknown, of swimming. Like, no wonder this movie is known as the movie that made people scared to go in the water. Like, it is the shark movie and nothing has ever even fucking come close to it. But I shit you not, every time I'm in the water, which like I don't go in the water around here. Like I live on the East Coast. I don't go in the water in Massachusetts or like in Rhode Island, not because of the shark problem, but because it's fucking gross. And that is part of it because if you're like knee deep in water around here, you can't see your feet. Like if I can't see what's coming towards me, if something's coming towards me, I'm not fucking going in it. So the only place I do go in the water is where it's clear. So like the last place I was where it was tropical, for example, was like Hawaii. And I shit you not, every time I'm in water, I think of this scene. It pops into my head and I'll never get it out. I saw this movie for the first time when I was like 5, over almost 25 years ago. And I've never been able to get it out of my head. Every time I'm in a fucking body of water, even sometimes I'm in a pool, it will pop into my head and I'll like fucking panic, even now at almost 30 years old. So that's the power of Jaws. And shout out to Steven Spielberg for making that happen because I know a lot of people feel the same way about that movie and it still affects them to this day. So imagine like just being able to make a movie that traumatizes a whole generation like that. Like, your movie is literally known as the movie that kept people out of the water and still keeps people out of the water. Like, that movie came out in 1975, bitch. Like, what the fuck? So shout out to my boy Steven. All right. In number 11, we have a scene that I talk about pretty frequently because I think this is the most beautifully choreographed scene of all time. And I think that overall, this is one of the most beautiful moments in cinema. Again, I will, like, a lot of these I understand, like, they're great moments in horror. I wouldn't go so far as to say cinema. I truly think this is one of the most beautiful and well put together moments in cinema. And it's this scene from the original Old Boy. And Old Boy is one of my favorite Korean movies. I love Korean movies more than anything. Korean movies are probably my favorite type of movie. Like, French movies are great, but I think Korean movie, like, there's just something about Korean cinema in general that's just so fucking beautiful. And there's another one that I'm going to have on here too. But Old Boy is one of my favorite movies. And that movie is just so fucking intense and, like, low-key disturbing, and it has one of the most, like, disgusting but also shocking plot twists of all time, and I just love everything about it, personally. I know that it's not everybody's cup of tea, but it's mine. But the scene that I'm talking about is the corridor scene. And if you've heard me, like, on TikTok and shit, you've probably heard me talk about the corridor scene before, because, again, it's just one of the greatest moments of all time, if you ask me, because I'm probably going to do this movie eventually, because I do want to do a month where I do, like, just foreign horror. So I'm going to do, like, some Korean movies, some French movies, probably some Japanese movies. And I'm definitely going to cover Old Boy in that. And essentially the gist of this movie is, like, the main character gets, like, kidnapped one day and locked in this room for 15 years. 15. He's held captive for 15 years. And eventually after 15 years, he's just let out into this open field. And he has no memory of, like, who brought him here or anything. And his whole mission becomes, like, getting revenge against the people that did this. So he's trying to, like, unravel the mystery of why they put him here, who put him here. And he runs into a lot of, like, intense, fucked up, corrupt people along the way who are trying to hurt him. And he's become a total badass, because we see during that 15 years, he was, like, training himself. Like, he was literally using the wall as a punching bag and is, like, making his knuckles bleed. Like, this dude's fucking, like, unhinged. Not to mention, like, captivity for 15 years, what that does to a person's mental. This man is off his fucking rocker. And he's played by Choi Min-sik, who is one of my favorite Korean actors of all time. He also plays the villain in I Saw the Devil, which is another one of my favorite movies. But there's this scene where I can't think of his character's name right now, guys, and I've seen this movie a million times. Dae-soo. His name's Dae-soo. So Dae-soo? I think it's Dae-soo. I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong. When I do it and I, like, rewatch it, I'll remember it. But basically, he goes to this building, and he finds one of the guys that was, like, involved in his kidnapping and in his being held captive, and he, like, extracts this guy's teeth from him. He, like, ties him down and, like, extracts his teeth and, like, fucks him up to get answers, right? And that's already bad enough. But then he goes to leave his office, and when he opens the door, there is, like, literally 30 to 40 men just standing there with, like, fucking weapons waiting for this motherfucker. Like, they're ready to fuck him up. So it's literally, like, 30 against 1. And it is such a beautifully choreographed scene, because it is one continuous shot. And we pan out to the corridor. And as he's walking down, and he's just, like, he has a hammer, and he just starts, like, beating the shit out of everybody, and people are coming at him, and he's pushing them off, and he's fighting. And I don't know how they choreographed this so perfectly with so many people involved, but they did. And they're just, like, moving down the corridor as he's just fighting all these people off, and he eventually gets to the end. And, like, I love it because you can see everybody getting more and more tired. Like, everybody's fighting, everybody's getting more and more tired. So at first it starts off, like, really, like, so much momentum, and then momentum, that's the word, so much momentum, and then, like, towards the end, everybody's, like, kind of going really slow because they just all got their asses beat. And again, it's just such a perfectly and beautifully choreographed moment, and it just really shows the level that Dae-soo is on. And it's at that moment that you're like, fuck, this man is ruthless. He is going to do whatever it takes to find out what happened to him, and everybody who comes in contact with him is literally in danger. Like, everybody who fucks with this man is in danger, because he comes out victorious. Like, he wins. He literally, like, beats the shit out of all these fucking 30 people. And I feel like I read that this scene took like 2 full days to film, maybe more, because again, it was just so difficult to get the choreography right. And they succeeded. Whatever they did, it fucking worked, because I think this is, again, one of the most beautiful scenes ever. And sometimes if I'm in a bad mood, I will literally just YouTube search Old Boy Corridor scene and watch it, and it instantly will turn my mood around, because I think it is so fucking perfect. It is a perfect scene. So now we're at number 10. So this is the top 10, I guess, even though, like, again, I don't really have these necessarily in a particular order until the top 3. Like, the top 3 are definitely my top 3. But in 10th place, I have another one that didn't fill me with any sort of fear. It filled me with such a profound sadness, to the point where I remember watching this movie in the theater and crying, because I was like, this might be the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. And it's the moment in The Black Phone. The Black Phone is one of my favorite movies. I love it so much. The second one's coming out this year. I'm really looking forward to it. But I loved the first Black Phone wholeheartedly. And the scene that I'm talking about that really gets me is Finney, who's the main character, is locked in this basement. He's being held captive by the grabber, who is played by Ethan Hawke. And the whole thing with Finney, his sister has this, like, she's in touch with her, like, psychic side. Like, she sees these visions and shit. And they never necessarily explain it, but their mother did too. They kind of hint at that. So Finney does too. Like, it's like a genetic thing. And I think that's why Finney is able to see these boys in the basement, because basically the whole premise of this is the grabber is a child serial killer and Finney is his next victim. But as Finney's in the basement, he gets these calls from this black phone that's hanging up that's not supposed to work. And every time he answers a call, it's the spirit of one of the dead boys that was a former victim of the grabber. And they all kind of collectively work together to make sure that Finney doesn't experience the same fate as them. And that in itself is such a beautiful premise to me. And this is one of those movies I genuinely don't understand why people hated it so much, because I hear a lot of people hate this movie. And like, I genuinely, again, everybody can have their own opinions, but I don't understand this one, because again, like, that premise alone is just so beautiful and deep to me. And I think the way it's done is perfect. And one of the victims of the grabber was Finney's best friend, Robin. And Robin always stuck up for Finney. Like, Finney was bullied. Robin was like a fucking black belt. Like, he was this little badass. And he always stuck up for Finney. And they had such a beautiful friendship. And then Robin fell victim to the grabber. He ended up being one of the victims. So it's at this point, like, we've seen Finney talk to all these other boys, and he's getting kind of hopeless because nothing's really working. And then all of a sudden, Robin calls him. And Rob, I'm going to cry. I swear. This is such a fucking powerful, beautiful, intense moment to me. I love the way that they do this, because in Finney's position, Finney can't see the boys. Finney can only hear them through the phone. But the way that the filmmakers made this for the audience is we see Finney on the phone with him and we see Robin behind him. So we can see Robin, but Finney can't see Robin. But Robin is giving Finney advice on how to, like, defend himself against the grabber. Like, this is what you're gonna do. You're gonna make a weapon and you're gonna fucking beat, like, you've been here too long. Like, this is the end. You're gonna fucking take this guy down. Oh my God, I'm literally tearing up. It fucking gets me every time. And basically the whole thing is Robin is like, you're going to take the phone, you're going to rip the fucking wire out of the phone, and you're going to fill the receiver, like, you're going to take the cap off, fill the receiver with dirt. This movie took place in like the 70s or 80s, by the way. So that's why it's like one of those phones with the receiver. So you're going to take the receiver off and you're going to fill it with dirt. So now it's like bottom heavy. And you're going to take it and you're going to step back, step forward, step back, swing. I literally have to pause because I'm fucking tearing up. This scene, guys, my Roman Empire, so beautiful. And the reason that I think this is done so beautifully is because, again, like, Finney can only hear his voice and we can see Robin there with him. And as he's telling Robin Finney what to do, Finney's starting to do the motions. He's like, okay, step back, step forward, step back, swing, step back, forward. Like, he's doing it. And we see Robin right next to him doing it with him. And again, it's just so powerful because, like, I'm not going to say Finney's whole life. We don't know about that. But, like, Finney's life in school, specifically him being bullied, Robin has always saved him. And Robin has always come to his rescue. And, like, even in his death, that was not in vain, because Robin still comes to Finney's rescue. And this ends up saving his life. Like, he is able to take the grabber out with this and then take him out in another way as well. But this is able to, like, stun him enough for Finney to get the upper hand and eventually kill him. Sorry if there's any spoilers that you didn't want there, but I definitely want to cover this movie at some point, especially after the second one comes out, because I fucking love it so much. But like, I genuinely can say I don't think there is a moment in cinematic history possibly that has filled me with this sense of just like awe and like hopefulness as this scene did, because again, it's just so powerful. The fact that like even in death, all these boys are culminating, but the final one he contacts is his best friend Robin. And after that, like he pulls the phone out of the wall, the wire out of the wall, so the phone's not going to work anymore. Not that it necessarily worked, but like we know like that was his last phone call. So if this doesn't work, like he's fucked. He has no more help. Like that was his last piece of advice, and it saved his life. And it's just such a beautifully done moment. And again, like I can't understand why people don't like this movie when that scene exists. Like that scene alone makes this movie fucking perfect to me. It's so beautiful. Oh God, guys, I lined this up pretty bad because the next one is another one that I like literally cry at when I watch it, because it's just so awe-inspiring and just so like motivational to me. And this is one that I only saw recently because I put off watching Squid Game for a really long time, which I don't necessarily know why, because again, Korean cinema is my favorite cinema, but there was just so much hype around it. I was like, you know what, I'm not going to watch this right now. But with the second season coming out, people were talking about it again, and I'm like, you know what, I'm finally going to watch Squid Game. What an absolute disservice I did to myself not watching that fucking show earlier, because god damn, what a great fucking show. And the scene in that show that is my favorite scene of the whole show, and honestly one of my favorite scenes again of all time just in general, is the tug of war scene. And I don't exactly remember what episode it's in, but if you guys follow me on Instagram, this was like a couple months ago I watched this. If you guys follow me on Instagram, you might have seen, I remember posting a story about it, and I was like, I'm crying at the tug of war scene. Like, am I supposed to be crying here? Because this is one of the most beautiful and like inspirational things I've ever seen in my fucking life. Like, I'm in tears, and I just watched it again before this, and I'm again like tearing up. And basically, like, the whole premise of this, I'm sure you know what Squid Game is. So people go into these games and they start being killed off if they don't win the games. And one of the games is tug of war, and they have to put together a team. And all of our main characters are on one team, but this team consists of like this old man, like an old decrepit man, and these two like very tiny women and a few other guys, like 3 or 4 guys. So it's Ji-yoon, who is our main character, like a couple of his other guys. And they make this team, and then they see that the game is tug of war, and they see that they are up against a team of able-bodied men. And just the fucking like dread. And this is why this scene is so powerful to me, because like the disappointment and just like the fear, like they see who they're up against, and it's like they immediately know that they're dead. They're like, we're gonna lose. Like, we are going to lose. We're dead because we picked this team with like this old man and like these 2 tiny women. Like, there's no way we can go up against a team of fucking 6, 7, 8 men. And they just get like so discouraged, and it's like it's the walk to like the platform where they're about to play this game. It's almost like it's their final walk. Like, they're so discouraged, but then the old man speaks up, and he's like, it's a game of strategy. It's not a game of strength. I'm going to cry again, guys. What the fuck? And this is just so beautiful because it's just such like, it's inspirational, but I think it's such a beautiful lesson because they're so discouraged. And the old man is explaining, like, when I used to play this game when I was a kid, it didn't matter if the other team was full of wrestlers. Like, as long as you go in with the right strategy and the right mindset, you can win. And one of the first things he says is we need a good front man, who is going to be Ji-yoon. And he's like, if the enemy looks at your face and sees that you have faltered and that you are like discouraged and you're scared, you've already lost. So Ji-yoon goes in with like this fucking like look on his face where he's like all intense, like, we're gonna fucking win. And right there, it's like, this is why I love this scene, because it's not about strength, it's a fucking mind game. And I think that is so important in life to like realize the power of your mind and how much of a fucking difference that can make. And this scene is like the epitome of that. And the old man, like, we hear this voiceover and see them all getting ready, and he's like, then we have to put a strong anchor at the back, and then we got to arrange the team, so like one on the left, one of the right, all of our feet facing forward. And then he's like, and then when they start, everybody just has to lean back their bodies so that you're like touching the other person's groin. But if you do that, the other team isn't going to be able to pull us forward, and they're going to start getting confused, and they're going to start faltering. And again, it's like, it's all a fucking mind game. It's all strategy. So as we're getting this voiceover, we see them doing it. And I literally, I was sitting on the edge of my couch right there, edge of my fucking seat. And I was like, head in my hands. I'm like, how are they going to do this? Because you know they're going to do it because all the main characters are on this team. So they're like, you're like, they can't kill off this whole team. But how the fuck are they going to be able to do this? But like just the teamwork in this moment and the fact that they were able to overcome this with, again, just pure strategy and mind power and just getting a one up on this team by being smarter was such an inspirational and beautiful moment to me. It's something that like I think about all the time. I think about the scene all the fucking time. I think it's incredible. Okay, is the next one something I'm going to cry at? Please no, because I can't do this. Oh, thank God. So in number 8, I have by the time this episode comes out, my Texas Chainsaw Massacre episode will have already come out. I'm filming this early, but I just rewatched Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This was already on here, but this actually went up on my list. Like I had this lower down and it went kind of up. And again, like it's not a perfect ranking, but like it's kind of a general idea. But this definitely went up higher after I just rewatched Texas Chainsaw because Sally Hardesty, I will say, like, she's not my favorite final girl. Like, I don't think she does a whole lot. She does a lot of running. She doesn't fight a lot. She runs. Like, she's a good evader. Like, she's not necessarily a fighter. She's an evader. And there's nothing wrong with that because she survives. But, like, final girl wise, like, when you look at final girls, it's like these bitches can fight, right? Like, these bitches fight back. Sally doesn't necessarily fight back. She runs. But my favorite thing that Sally Hardesty does, and honestly, arguably one of my favorite things that any final girl does, is when Sally is backed into a corner, she straight up jumps through the fucking window. And it is so, I don't have the words to express how much I fucking love that because Texas Chainsaw, the OG, came out in 1974. So this is when like the final girl trope is kind of like just beginning. Like we had Jess Bradford in Black Christmas come out the same year. We have Sally Hardesty now, and then we didn't get like Laurie Strode until 4 years later. So this is kind of like setting the pace, setting the mold. And whenever I see this scene, I think of that scene in Scream where Sidney Prescott is first on the phone with Ghostface and she's like, oh, the women are always running up the stairs when they should be going up out the front door. It's insulting. And it's true, but she couldn't have been using Texas Chainsaw as a reference because Sally, my girl, did run up the stairs, but then jumped out the fucking window. And she actually does it twice in this movie. The first time is my favorite time because she ends up getting into the house and locks the door, and Leatherface just starts sawing through the door. He's straight up just like chainsawing through the fucking door. Sally runs upstairs, realizes there's nobody up there, nobody that's going to help her. So she goes to run back downstairs and she runs into fucking Leatherface and she's like, fuck. And now he has her cornered. So she has no option but to run back up the stairs. And this bitch does not even miss a fucking beat. She runs up the stairs and straight up jumps through a fucking second story window. Jumps through. And it's just like, we had never seen this. And we really haven't seen this since, to be honest. Like, no final girl really does this because in movies where like the people do run up the stairs, they do like what Sidney Prescott said, like they're running around, like all this shit. Sally jumps out the fucking window 2 stories to the ground. And like, it's something that you watch and you're like, shit, like would I have the balls to do that? Like, I would rather break a bone than be killed by this chainsaw. So like, yeah, hopefully I would do it. But the fact that, again, like she did not even fucking flinch. She just straight up runs up, jumps headfirst out this fucking window, and it works. She survives. And then it happens again later on. And the second one I don't think is as intense because it's not the second story. Like this one is on like the ground floor, but she does it again when she gets away after when they're at that dinner and they're like have her tied up and she manages to like get out of her restraints and get away from the hitchhiker and she runs out the fucking window. It's just such a beautiful, beautiful thing. And like jumping out the window ended up saving her fucking life because there's nothing else. And it, again, like really puts you in a position where you think like, wow, if I was really backed into a corner like that, would I be so quick thinking? And like, that's why I like Sally because, again, like she's not necessarily a fighter, but she's smart and she's quick thinking and she jumps into action quite literally. In 7th place, I have one of my favorite movies of all time. We just did an episode on this. It's from It 2017. And there's a lot of things that these kids do in this movie that I think are like some of the funniest moments in cinema. Like, go blow your dad, you mullet wearing asshole, I think is one of the greatest insults of all time. It's fucking incredible. The banter between the kids is one of the things that makes this movie so great to me. But my favorite moment, I think, of this movie, and one of my favorite horror movie moments of all time, is when the kids are down for the final battle and Pennywise manages to grab Bill. And he's like, I'll take all of you, or you guys can go. You'll grow old. You'll live happy lives, and I'll just take him. And Bill is telling them to go. And everybody looks kind of conflicted as to what they're going to do. And Beverly's the only one that is straight up like, guys, like, we can't fucking leave him. But then Richie comes in. Wow, Finn Wolfhard is in 2 of my top moments of all time because he's the Stranger Things and in this one. And he looks at Bill and he's like, you punched me in the face. You brought me to a fucking crackhead house. Like, you really think like Richie's like going to leave him. You really think Richie's going to leave him. And all of a sudden he's like giving this whole speech, making it sound like he's going to leave him. And he looks at him and he goes, and now I'm going to have to kill this fucking clown. And he's doing that. And he's grabbing the baseball bat. And he goes, welcome to the Losers Club, asshole. And fucking smacks the shit out of Pennywise. There is something about that moment that is just like, again, makes your heart just start racing because you're like, fuck, like these are ride or die bitches. Like this is a fucking ride or die. And it's just such a great scene to me. And it's just such a great like piece of dialogue to me as well. Like, you did this, you did this, you did this, and now I'm gonna have to kill this fucking clown. Like, it's just such a switch immediately, and like that's when you realize, like, oh, they're not leaving him. They're not fucking going anywhere. Like, absolutely fucking not. And I just love that moment so much. And this one and the Squid Games and the Black Phone one remind me of another scene of mine that is one of my favorite movie moments of all time. It's not a horror movie, but since we're talking about movie moments, I will talk about this because something about me, guys. I've seen the movie E.T. over 100 times in my life, and I can wholeheartedly say not one of those times have I not cried at the E.T. bike scene. My friends think this is hilarious because I'm like, sometimes if I want a good cry, I'll just like YouTube E.T. bike scene and just go watch it and fucking cry. The E.T. bike scene is so magical. First of all, it's nostalgic because like we all watched E.T. when we were kids, right? But it is just so magical, that moment. This might be my favorite movie moment of all time, period. I'm not going to fucking lie because it's just something about this. Everything about it is perfect because you have Elliot on this bike in this fucking classic getup, the red hoodie with E.T. in the fucking little basket in the front with the blanket on him. And you have all of his friends behind him. And his friends, like the thing I love about that scene is like his friends don't even know what the fuck is going on. Like they literally just pull up to this park and Elliot's like, yeah, I have an alien and we have to get him back to his spaceship. And they're just like, okay. Like, they don't even ask any fucking questions. They're just like, okay. And they all get on their bikes and there's this like intense chase scene. And this is the scene I was talking about when I thought about how music will change a scene so drastically because John Williams, God bless this fucking man. And he also did the score for Jaws, which is definitely what contributes to that movie being so horrifying. But he alone contributes to this scene being as fucking intense and memorable as it is because there's a scene. I'm so off topic right now, guys, because this is not one of my scenes, but I have to talk about it because again, it's not a horror movie. And they're all in the park and they're like, okay. So they get on their bikes. So they're all in the park and Elliot tells them what they're going to do. And they're all just like, okay. And then we cut to them on their bikes and we get this like crescendo of music. And it's like, I'm so bad at that. But like if you know, you know, it's this crescendo and they're fucking full speed biking through the street. And like this chase ensues. The cars are coming up, trying to corner them. They manage to get away. And then eventually they get to a spot where they're like, okay, we think we got away. But then people literally start coming out of the fucking trees. And then we see the car block off the road and these officers get out with fucking rifles, like fucking shotguns. And what made me think about this and made me bring it up is I said in the last scene, like, oh, this is like a ride or die. The ride or die level in it, I don't even think matches the ride or die level in E.T. because E.T. is literally the definition of ride or die, quite frankly, because they are riding on their fucking bikes. But like the cops come out, they have their guns. The group is barreling full speed into this fucking cop car. And like, I'm going to start crying right now. I'm going to try and not. They didn't know they were going to start levitating. I repeat, they didn't know they were going to start levitating. Oh, Sidney, it's a movie. Like, obviously the characters don't have any fucking... Shut up. Shut up, okay? Because when it's a movie that is this well done and you feel so connected to the characters, it feels like it's real. So I'm going to make it real. So they didn't know they were going to start levitating. Like, these friends are so blindly ride or dies. Like, they are following their friend and helping him do whatever they have to do. They are full speed barreling into these fucking FBI agents with machine guns. They're not machine guns, but I'm making it more dramatic. Barreling into them with their guns fucking aimed at them. They didn't know they were going to start levitating. I'm fucking crying, guys. And then all of a sudden, they get right to like the final point where they're about to barrel into them, and we like focus on ET, and sure enough, they fucking float up, and we get that music. Da, da, na, 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 na. Can you see my tears? I genuinely don't think I've ever seen anything more magical in my entire life, and that is the perfect way to describe that scene. It's magical. That might be my favorite movie moment of all time. I bet. Again, it might sound dramatic, but God, it kills me. All right, now that I've cried 37 times in this fucking episode, now at my number 6. Oh, thank God. Something scary so I don't have to cry at it. Because my number 6 is one of the moments, another one that traumatized me the most by far. And it's Signs. And that's probably all I need to say for you guys to know exactly what scene I'm talking about. Because I'm talking about the scene where the alien comes out from behind the bush. And I have a very nostalgic connection to Signs, and I've probably talked about this before, but I saw Signs. Signs came out in 2002. I was 7 in 2002. And, right? Yeah, I was 7 in 2002. And my family, being my mom and dad, took me and my sister to the theater to see this movie. And my dad is where I got like my love for horror. So that wasn't anything new. Like, we would go see movies in the theater, like horror movies in the theater. He would take us to do that. That wasn't anything new. But we go to this movie not knowing it was going to be what it was. Like, not knowing it was going to be as fucking traumatizing as it is. And I remember like sitting in that theater, and like I had already been uneasy. Like, the aliens were already freaky. But then like that moment where the alien pops out from behind the bush, my soul left my fucking body, and it's never come back. I genuinely think a piece of me left my body that day and is like still floating out there somewhere in the atmosphere. Like, I've never felt anything like that, because it wasn't even just fear. It was like an emotion I don't even know what to call. Like, it's so hard for me to even explain it, because I've never felt anything like that in my fucking life. I never before, never since. So here I am, just a little 7-year-old on a family movie night, and this alien pops out from behind the bush. And I'm surprised I didn't shit my pants or piss my pants. Deadass. I'm surprised I did not fucking shit my pants, because to this day, Signs is the only movie that I will not watch by myself because of that scene. I am like so scared of aliens because of that movie and because of that scene alone. Like, aliens and sharks are my biggest fear because of Signs and Jaws. But like, Jaws I'll watch by myself all day. I watched Jaws like 300 times this summer. Signs, if it's on, I'll put it on. But when it gets to that scene, I can't. I literally have to turn it off. And like, the thing I love about that scene too is the build up. Like, it's like build like this anticipation, because you know you're going to see something, but you don't know what it is, because you have Joaquin Phoenix's character sitting in the closet watching this news report. And she's like, what you're about to see may disturb you. And you're watching, and these kids are like at the birthday party and they're speaking Spanish. So you don't necessarily know what they're saying if you don't speak Spanish, because it's not like subtitled or anything. And the kids are all at the door, and like, you're doing one of these things. Like, you're literally like, as an audience member, trying to like look over the kids, because you're like, get out of the way. And then Joaquin Phoenix says what we're thinking. He's like, move, children, vomitos, like, get the fuck out of the way. And again, it's just the anticipation, because you know what's about to happen. But like, I feel like the first time you saw that, nothing could have prepared you for that. Like, nothing could have prepared you for a full body alien that was that fucking menacing and threatening and fucking scary. And shout out to M. Night Shyamalan, man. Shyamalan, however you say his last name, because he doesn't make movies like this anymore. Nobody does. And I wish he did. But I think this is his peak, personally. This movie fucked me up so bad. Shout out mom and dad for taking me to see this when I was 7 and literally traumatizing me for the rest of my life. But whatever. It's fine. I'm stronger for it, and I'm very happy for it. I wouldn't trade it for fucking anything. I love everything about that. And that memory is very near and dear to my heart, even though it is downright terrifying. In 5th place, I have one that very well might make me start crying again, because it is from my favorite show of all time, which, if you know me, you know that is The Haunting of Hill House. Of course, I had to have a Flanagan moment in here. Like, it would not be a complete list without a Flanagan moment. And there's a lot of moments in that show that I could say are my favorite. Like, the show in and of itself is my favorite moment of all time. Like, there's everything about that show I think is perfect. Like, the moment you find out who the bent neck lady is, the sacrifice that Hugh makes at the end. Like, there's so many moments that you could say this is my favorite moment, but for me, it comes down to Nell's monologue. And I love that moment so much that I have it tattooed on my body. So right here on my arm, it says the rest is confetti, because that scene literally like affected me that deeply that I'm like, I feel like I need to have an homage to it on my body for the rest of my fucking life, because I love this scene that much. And I love it for so many different reasons. One, because it kind of feeds into my belief in the afterlife, like people who are like ghosts, quote unquote, or like more so the fact that I don't think time is linear. Because if you remember in that moment, Nell is like saying things, and at first it sounds like nonsense and it's kind of like all disordered and everything, but then like time kind of lines up for her and she starts saying the same words, but now it's in response to things that her siblings said. So it's like she already knew that this was going to happen. She was just trying to find the right time to say these words that she knew she had to say. And the whole show, when you watch the show, the whole show culminates in this exact moment, because it's what really brings the siblings together. It like clears all the air, because it's this beautiful moment. And it's this moment that you wish you could have with people who have passed on in your life. And for that reason alone too, I just think it's so beautiful. And that like, you don't always get to say things to people that you want to say, but this shows that like, they're still here. Like maybe you still can. It's kind of like hopeful in that way to me. Because Nella, like all of her siblings apologized to her, like Theo, like, I'm sorry we didn't talk after this time, and I'm sorry I wasn't there. And Nella's like, no, like you were there, and kind of like brings this sense of comfort to them. And another reason I love this is because if you listen to my Hill House episodes, all 5 of the Crane children represent a different stage of grief, and Nell is the sibling that represents the final stage, which is acceptance. And in this moment, no matter what stage the rest of the siblings were in, they all become acceptance, because Nell pushes them to that moment. Like, you have to accept that this happened in the house, accept what happened to mom, accept what happened to me, accept the fact that I'm gone, and that like, you know, it might not have been on the best terms with you, but I'm not holding that against you. And through this beautiful, beautiful monologue, she just brings them all this peace and this acceptance. And like the moment Luke looks at her and is like, I just don't understand how I can go on without you. And she's like, but you can. And I'm going to start crying again. Oh my God, it's so beautiful. And then not to mention, she drops the, like, think of me every time, like the snow falls or whatever she says. That's so beautiful. And then she just says, and the rest is confetti. And she disappears. My God. What a beautiful, intense moment. That's another one. I have never watched that scene without not even just shedding a tear, hysterically ugly crying. Even though I'm very familiar with what happens and what is said, ugly, hysterical, ugly crying. Can't fucking help it. It's so beautiful. It's so well written. It's such a beautiful like string of words. I could only dream of being able to string together words as eloquently and as beautiful as Mike Flanagan does in his scripts, because it is so perfectly done. Again, like, I love this scene too, because this is a show that to me was so scary throughout and so terrifying. And it all, again, like culminates to this moment. And not to mention, like, all your questions are answered at this moment too, because she explains about the whole like red room, like how it was like a tree house for you, a dance room for you. Like, we finally like get all of the answers to the questions that we've been wondering about for so long. And it's done in such this beautiful, heartbreaking way. And you're like, damn, I was scared of this show the whole time, but now I'm in fucking shambles. Like, it's not a scary show. It's a show about like grief and trauma and loss. And it's so brilliant and it's so beautiful. Shout out to our Lord and Savior, Mike Flanagan, because I truly don't believe there is anybody else that can handle themes of like trauma and loss and grief as beautifully and perfectly as he does, but also make it terrifying at the same time. It's a fucking gift. And I am so fortunate to be living on the same timeline as this man so I can watch his work unfold. Truly, I genuinely mean that from the bottom of my heart. I am so blessed to be alive in the same timeline as Michael Flanagan. God, we are all so fucking blessed, honestly. All right, I don't think I have any others that should make me cry, so I think we should be safe from that. In fourth place, I have a moment, and this is another episode that we did recently, and this moment is made so perfect because of Tony Todd. And I'm talking about the scene in Candyman where he has the bees in his mouth. And that's one of the scenes like I talk about all the time. And like, if somebody were to come up to me on the street and be like, hey, give me a fun fact about a horror movie, the first thing that is coming out of my mouth is, you know, that Tony Todd had real live bees inside of his mouth during filming this scene. That's always going to be my first one because it blows my mind the most. It is like that. Oh my God. I have a hard time talking about it because, again, like I don't even know how to describe like the feeling that fills me with. And it's why Tony Todd is such an icon, and it's why he's forever going to be remembered for things like this, because like I don't think I've ever known an actor. I mean, there are definitely actors, but like he put so much dedication into his craft, and it's what made his movies so memorable and so iconic. So without him and like without this scene, I think specifically, like I don't know if Candyman would be as impactful and as important and as remembered and beloved as it is today. I really don't. But Candyman's already so menacing and terrifying, but then this scene comes along between him and Helen, and it's a scene that kind of turns the whole movie, where it's like, is this a romance movie? Because we get that beautiful shot of them, like the camera spinning around them as they're kind of like ballroom dancing, and then you see Candyman put her down, and he opens his fucking coat to reveal that underneath his rib cage is exposed and he has all these bees all over him. And then we look up at his mouth and he does that slow like opening of the mouth, and he has these bees literally inside his mouth all over his face, and he is so calm and composed and sophisticated and elegant, and he still manages to do that despite the fact that there are bees literally in his fucking mouth. And for me, the scene is also so powerful because, like, knowing how Candyman died, like, he had his hand cut off and then he was smothered in honey and these bees stung him to death. Like, that's how he fucking died. And now it's almost like this is showing that he's overcome this. Like, he's overcome this fear and overcome this moment. And now, like, the bees are me. Like, the bees are a part of me. I'm no longer scared of these bitches. Like, if anything, they should be scared of me. And it's just, I can't even express into words, again, like how much I just fucking love this scene. It's really hard to even verbalize it because it's just so beautiful. And every time I see it, I have to stop what I'm doing and just like fully engross myself in it because it's just so perfectly done. And it just, again, shows like what a dedicated, wonderful actor Tony Todd was. And we are forever at a loss for having lost him. Just cinema, the world of cinema in general. Like, what a loss. I lied. Maybe I am crying again. All right, quick, before I start crying again, let's get into the top three. So again, like the top three are definitely my top three. And at least like my top one is definitely my top one. Because now I'm thinking about it and I'm like, damn, I had some pretty good moments in here though. Like, is this really my top three? Would all of these great moments exist? But no, I do really love these top three because top three is going to be from a little movie called Scream. It's actually from Scream 2. Scream right there on my wall if you can see me. It's actually from Scream 2, and this is just hands down my favorite moment in the whole entire franchise. And I'll talk about this more in April when I cover the Scream series, because we are going to be doing that. But Sidney in the first movie, she's still a good final girl, but she's not like this. Nobody's used to this shit, right? Like, she's never been attacked like this. Like, she doesn't know what she's doing. She's not as intense as she gets. Like, we really see her like get more intense and like harden throughout the franchise. And this moment in the second movie for me is when you realize like, oh, Sidney Prescott is that bitch. Like, she is that final girl. She did not come to fucking play, and she is not going to play for the rest of this fucking franchise. And what I'm talking about is in the second movie, she is wearing her boyfriend Derek's frat letters on her necklace, and it was like a gift. That was the whole reason that he was tied up, and he ultimately ended up dying. And it's revealed to her that the killer is Mickey. One of the killers is Mickey. And Mickey's talking to her, thinking he's got the upper hand because he's like pointing a fucking gun at her. And he's like, Mickey's just a fucking like narcissist psychopath, like textbook. And he's just like going on and on. And he's talking about Billy Loomis and how he's like basically like the next Billy Loomis and how he's doing all this, whatever. And Sidney just looks at him, and we see that throughout his whole like soliloquy, his monologue of him just like bragging about how he's going to fucking kill her. She has taken off her necklace, and she has it like kind of hanging in her hand, and she's got her arms crossed, and he's talking about Billy, and she looks at Mickey and she goes, "Oh yeah? Well, you're forgetting one thing about Billy Loomis." And he goes, "What's that?" And she goes, "I fucking killed him." whacks the fuck out of this motherfucker with her fucking letters, slashes his face, which distracts him long enough for her to run away, and the rest is fucking history. And that is my favorite Sidney Prescott moment. That is my favorite Scream moment. That is arguably, possibly my favorite final girl moment of all time. All time. That is so intense because not only did you think of using this necklace that you got from your boyfriend, which is like very poetic in and of itself, because like they were trying to make it seem like the boyfriend was the killer again, and instead of like her boyfriend being the killer like the first movie, now your boyfriend kind of saved you inadvertently by giving you this fucking necklace. And like, not only did you think to take your necklace off and use that as a weapon, anything can be a weapon if you truly believe. You thought to take your necklace off and make it a weapon. And on top of that, you deliver one of the most iconic lines of all time, basically being like, fuck you. Like, I'm going to kill your ass. Like, you think you're better than Billy Loomis? You're forgetting I fucking killed him, aren't you? My God. Like, this moment again, like, solidified Sidney's spot as that bitch. She is that bitch. Nobody will fucking beat her. I'm sorry. Like, nobody, like, who delivers lines like that and then is that, like, resourceful and such a fighter on top of it? Nobody does that. So yeah, that's another one that I'll sometimes just like go watch on YouTube, and I'll just be like, damn, like the sense of, again, just like awe and just like joy that moment brings me is untouched. I fucking love it so much. Number 2. So this would have been in my top, but this significantly moved up after I did my episode on Get Out, because I realized like just how fucking monumental this scene is. Like, that's the first time I've used that word this whole time. This scene is monumental and so fucking badass. And if you guys heard my Get Out episode, you probably know what I'm talking about, because one honorable mention from Get Out is the scene where he gets the upper hand on fucking Jeremy, the brother, because he uses Jeremy's art against him, because Jeremy's talking about how like judo or whatever it is, taekwondo, one of those. He's like, it's all about strategy. This is like a Squid Games thing again. He's like, it's a strategy. It's being like 4 steps ahead of your opponent. And Chris uses that against him when he's going for the door. So he has like the letter opener still through his hand from the fucking crazy mom stabbing it through him. And Jeremy comes up behind him and he's strangling Chris. Chris opens the door. Jeremy kicks it closed. Okay, cool. So he's like fucking doing it again. You're like, shit, how's he gonna get out of this? He opens the door again. Jeremy kicks it closed. You're like, oh fuck, like he's really got the upper hand here. And Chris starts to like go limp. Like he's literally being fucking choked out. He's losing it. And you're like, oh my God, how the fuck is he gonna get out of it? But then you could see you see the gears turning. You see him turning, and as he goes to open the door the third time, he anticipates Jeremy kicking it closed, and he fucking stabs this motherfucker in the leg with the letter opener that is through his hand, and that's how he gets the upper hand. So honorable mention to that, because I think that is fucking so intense and so insane too, and shows why Chris is honestly probably like the greatest final guy of all time. I would put that out there. Like, sorry, Ash Williams, I love you, but Chris is such a fucking badass, and he's so smart, and I think he made single-handedly the greatest decision in horror movie history, and that's the moment that is in my top. That's the moment that's my number 2, and it's the moment that he puts the cotton in his ears and saves his ass that way. And not only is that one of my favorite moments because of how, again, just brilliant it is, like the fact that he was able to maneuver this cotton out of the chair and get it in his ears, and then because he knew like if he didn't hear the tapping, he wouldn't go under into this hypnosis. He wouldn't be in the sunken place. And then to fake being asleep long enough to get untied and then make your fucking move at the exactly perfect time and take out this whole fucking family with you in the process. That alone makes it incredible. But the fact that this is a movie about racism and about inequality, and the fact that Jordan Peele thought to do this, and it's this reversal of the fact that slaves for years were forced to pick cotton. They had to do this in the heat and they were suffering because of it. And like what made them suffer just saved Chris's life. And it's just so fucking poetic and so beautiful. Like picking cotton saved his life. Like picking cotton, which is something that's always looked at as this like derogatory thing, as this slave thing. It just saved his fucking life. And for being a movie about racism, oh my God, it gives me fucking goosebumps every time, like when you realize it. And this is one of those movies, you don't necessarily put that together the first time because there's so much going on that you don't even like process the fact that he just put cotton in his ears. But like as you watch it more, you're like, picking cotton just saved his fucking life. And it is so beautiful and so intense and so, again, just like inspirational almost. Like he really, oh my God, I just love Jordan Peele for shit like this because again, I always say this, if you listen to me, everything Jordan Peele does is purposeful. Everything, every fucking piece of imagery, everything in a Jordan Peele movie has meaning. And this to me is the biggest meaning. That's his biggest one. And that's his best one. And again, like this is the greatest decision in a horror movie, I personally think ever. I love it. But ultimately, in my number one spot, we have a moment in a movie that I have never felt a stomach dropping sensation like this in my whole life. Like I've been on roller coasters and on these rides and shit, and my stomach has never dropped the way it did when I first watched this movie and saw this scene. And just the sense of dread and despair, it made me feel like I was there and like I was one of them stuck in this place with them. And the moment that I'm talking about is the moment in one of my favorite movies of all time, and also arguably the movie that scared me the most. It's always between this and The Conjuring. I'm talking about Grave Encounters from 2011. And I'm talking specifically about the moment where they're starting to experience shit in this asylum and time has passed. Kenny, the caretaker, hasn't come back to get them. Like he's late and they just want to get out and they know that the front door is fucking chained so they can't get out. And they're like, you know what? Fuck it. Like we're so desperate. We're about to break this fucking door down so we can get out. And they take this like gurney and they start fucking pounding it at the door. And eventually it starts to loosen and it opens and you're like, oh shit, they're out. And it opens to more asylum. And it's at that moment when you realize there's no escaping this place. They are in this inescapable labyrinth. And just the sense of dread when that door opens and just exposes that instead of the outside world, there is more asylum. It almost made me fucking cry, which as we've seen in this episode, it's not that hard to do. But it like, I remember watching this for the first time. I literally remember where I was watching it and I remember my jaw dropping to the fucking ground. And then they close the door and they see that on the front, sure enough, it says death awaits, which like the front doors of this hospital did. So it's at this moment again that you realize like there's no escaping this place. Like this asylum has a fucking hold on them and there is no getting out. Like that's it for them. And it's equivalent in the second movie, the moment where they are going down the elevator and they think they've made it out and the elevator opens and they're back in the asylum. That is like a similar dread-inducing feeling, but it did not affect me nearly as much as the first movie when they opened that door and it's just more asylum. Again, like it made me, I had such a fucking like visceral physiological reaction to that. It made me feel like I was there, like I was one of them, and I'm now stuck in this asylum as well. And that just really speaks to the filmmaking in this movie, just like the direction, the cinematography, like the writing in general, and just like the build up to this moment. That really speaks to the talent of the filmmakers here, because like being able to make your audience feel like you're in it that badly, where like my stomach literally dropped out of my ass pretty much. And I felt like I was stuck in this asylum with them and now I'm here forever. And again, just that sense of just fucking dread and utter fear and despair and hopelessness. No movie has ever made me feel that ever before and ever since. So shout out to Grave Encounters. And again, this is why I love that movie so much. And I have like such a nostalgic connection to it because no movie has affected me like that. No movie has ever given me that sort of emotion and just like visceral response. And also fear, like the fear that I felt the first time I watched that movie. Like when I tell you that movie ended, I was like 16 when I watched it, 17. I sat on my bed, all my lights on, turned on my lamp, turned on my fucking big light. And I never turn on the big light. Turned on my fucking big light. Sat on my bed in the center of my bed until the fucking sun came up the next morning because I was scared to close my fucking eyes. Scared to close my eyes. And I feel like that's a high I've been chasing ever since because I would love to get that scared again. And I genuinely don't think anything will ever do that to me again. So I have a very strong connection to Grave Encounters. It has a very special place in my heart for that reason. And that moment is the moment. That moment, nothing has ever touched that. Nothing's even come close in terms of how it made me feel and how it affected me long term. Like I still think about that. I'm going to be covering Grave Encounters in April because that's the month I'm going to be doing like my favorites. So I'll be covering Grave Encounters 1 and 2 and that. So we'll talk more about that. But That's it, guys. That's my favorite horror movie moments of all time, with a few shows thrown in there as well. And like I said, I know I'm going to like end this episode, and like in the next few days, I'm going to think of a moment and be like, fuck, I wish I put that in my top movie moments of all time. But at the same time, like if these are the first ones that I could think of, I feel like this is a pretty accurate list, because if there were any, like the second I was asked this question, my gears started turning and I was like, oh my God, this, definitely this. Like it came pretty quickly for me, because again, like these are moments that mean something to me personally. Like they personally affected me, or I have some sort of connection to them. So I don't know. I think it's pretty accurate. If anything else comes up, I'll let you guys know in the other episodes. But there it is. Thank you, Sam, and everybody for pushing me to do this, because I actually had a really, really fun time looking back and kind of trying to put this together. So I'm very grateful for it. I had a blast. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys, maybe like there's some stuff on here that you haven't seen that like you want to now go watch and see these scenes, even if you just fucking YouTube search them. But thanks for listening. Again, I had a blast here. I hope you guys did too. My next episode will be on Wednesday. I'm all sorts of fucked up right now because I'm filming this in advance, because I leave for Texas and I'm in Texas for like 10 or 11 days. So I'm trying to like queue up all my pods and everything. So I don't even know like where in the lineup this one is going to fall. So I can't even tell you what the next episode's going to be. I don't fucking know. But I know this will come out on a Friday. So there will be a new episode on Wednesday. Is it prom night? It's probably prom night. But anyway, I love you guys. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Hopefully, if you got to watch, thank you for seeing me and watching me cry 27,000 times. That was not expected. It kind of was expected, because I'm such a baby when it comes to these scenes. Like I can't watch them or even think about them without shedding a fucking tear. So I kind of knew that was going to happen. But anyway, if you guys haven't given me a 5-star rating yet on Spotify, Apple, wherever you're listening to me, that would be wonderful, super helpful, pushes me out into the algorithm, gets more people to come into our community and all that jazz. So whatever episode is going to be on Wednesday is whatever episode is going to be on Wednesday. Again, time is a fucking illusion right now. But regardless, I will talk to you guys then. And until then, follow me on TikTok and Instagram, horror_chronicles. I post especially on TikTok every day. I will be posting on both my whole like saga of being at South by Southwest. That's the film festival I'm going to. That's why I'm going to be in Texas for 10 days. So go keep up with that. And until next time, watch more horror movies and stay spooky, my friends.